So as you can see from the examples that you just did and all my answers here, we know we're going to be checking our answers the same way we've been checking answers this entire unit, plugging in the value and seeing if we get a true statement. Just make sure we're being careful this time. We know that more than one number is going to work. We're looking for a range of numbers. So don't just assume the second you get one yes that you're finished. There could be another number as well. So now we're going to move on to being able to graph these inequalities. Now, when you are going to be graphing these, you're just going to be given a number line. Now, the first thing that we need to do is make sure that we fill in that number line so we can actually see some values that we're graphing. So try to think of numbers that are going to give a good representation of what you're working with. So what I usually do is I look at what number kind of the end of my inequality is, and I try to put that somewhere near the middle. Then from there, I'm creating a number line on either side. So I know the numbers are going to have to go up as we go right, down as we go left. So I've created the number line for myself. Then I need to be able to put in the dot to represent where my number is. Since we know the graphing inequalities, that dot's going to represent that end for us. Well, in this case, I know it's 1. But I have to be careful. What kind of dot do I need to use? Well, to check that, we need to look at our sign. We know that anytime we have greater than or less than, so no equals, we're going to be using an open dot. The second we have that or equal to sign, that's how we know it's going to be closed, because that has to be able to include that number. So it's like we're shading on that number. That's why we close the dot. So because this one was just less than, not less than or equal to, I know that I'm going to need an open dot on 1. From there, I just need to know where to shade, since the graphs of inequalities are going to have shading to show where the rest of the answers are. So I ask myself, well, where are all of the values of n smaller than 1? On the left side or the right side of my dot? Well, I know it's on the left side of my dot, so that's where I'm going to have to do all of my shading. So we're going to shade all the way to the end of the number line, and that's going to represent the entirety. So that's all the answers that we could possibly have. Now we can do the opposite if we want to write an inequality if we're given a graph. Well, when I see where that dot is, that tells me the number that I'm working with. So I know that I'm comparing whatever variable I want to work with, I'll use x in this case, with 6. And I can also see what kind of sign I'm going to need. Because it's an open dot, I know we're using either less than or greater than. Now I just have to figure out which one's going to work. Well, I look where the shading is. All of the numbers that are less than 6 are the ones that are being shaded. So that tells me that x needs to be less than 6. Right. Go ahead and give the 3 graphing examples a try, as well as the 3 graphing or writing the inequality from the graph examples. Check your answer on Schoology, then jump over to compound inequalities on the other side.